What a cute little side-scrolling adventure game. That's a weird little warning for a cute side-scrolling adventure game. I'm Ben Fred and I love parrying in video games. And this video game, Nine Souls, takes parrying to the next level. This game makes parrying with a parasol look like a Mary Poppins outtake with how tame and whimsical it is. That is a stupid line. This 5-second clip contains 3 different types of parries.
And the game of the year is?
Well, technically 4 because I messed one of them up. And that actually is a different kind of a parry. This game is founded on a parry-based economy. Parrying is both necessary defense and rewards empowered offense.
And this is what a parry should be. This is the realm of parries. This is where parries live.
This game, Nine Souls, is perfect. Nine Souls is a game made by a Taiwanese studio, and it's extremely Taiwan-ish, which gets confusing as a Westerner thinking, what is Taiwanese ancient culture and what is Chinese? Basically, Taiwan was ruled by China, then it was ruled by Japan until they surrendered at the end of World War II. Taiwan wanted to do their own thing, but China was all... They had a civil war, and now Taiwan is Taiwan, despite China claiming otherwise. Regardless, the point of that explanation was that China and Taiwan have lots of shared stylings. It's a very Taiwanese game. This old guru is trying to be one with the Tao. Your character is both a scientist and a martial artist. Drinking mysterious alcohol from the little cups. Listen to the sound it makes when you parry. Exquisite. It's a very Taiwanese game. The stylings are Taiwanese. The genre is Metroid-like. Don't you mean Metroidvania? No, I do not. Castlevania is factually a Metroid-like, and I will never budge nor deviate on this point. Quick YouTube aside, last video I showed my metrics and asked for likes and comments, and whoa, you guys delivered, and it was a stunning outcome. Here was the impressions graph on one of my most recent videos. Impressions are when YouTube sends the video out into the world to see if someone will click on it. This video flatlines at 27k impressions. YouTube said,
Failure, you are behind schedule.
But after you guys hit the like button and left comments on the Stalker 2 video, it kept getting more chances. And that resulted in almost 5 times the views. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the likes. It's absolutely massive, and I'm extremely grateful. If you're having a fun time with this video, leave a like and a comment. It's hugely impactful. Back to the video. For quite some time, my favorite Metroid-like was 2017's Hollow Knight. But now my favorite Metroid-like is Nine Souls. That's a lie. It's actually Ori and the Will of the Wisps. My second favorite Metroid-like is Nine Souls. Oh, but Hollow Knight is so good. No, I have to be decisive in my assertions. Nine Souls is my second favorite Metroid-like and has usurped Hollow Knight. Oh, but Hollow Knight is so good. Nine Souls is interesting. It's Taiwanese horror Star Trek starring anthropomorphic Bruce Lee. And according to these stats, which you should take with a grain of salt, it sold over 700,000 copies. Great flipping job, Nine Souls. The first thing you notice about this game is despite it being a cartoon. It is in fact extremely graphic. Then you quickly learn it's quite horrific. So if you're a Hollow Knight enjoyer, you might have to consider if you're willing to be emotionally scarred by a narrative and mentally disturbed by the, at times, quite intense body horror. But if you happen to fit into the Venn diagram of loves Resident Evil games and cannot stop playing Metroid-likes, this game is for you. Then throw in the final circle of I'll literally shank you in the pancreas just to find more games with great parry mechanics, and you have myself. This game does not hold your hand in the playing of the game department. In fact, it likes shanking pancreases as much as my hyperbolic parry-deprived analogous self. The game expects you to learn, and you're gonna die a lot doing just that. But once you get your timings down, oh yeah. Once you get your timings down, you're parrying.
Anything and everything, all of the time.
Now I am an oyster, and the world is me.
Hollow Knight is an astounding game, but the combat is frustrating at times, and it does two things that I think are cardinal sins. You don't get any iframes on your dash until very late into the game, and you don't get your double jump until relatively late as well. You don't even get wall cling until a few bosses in, so the initial few hours of moving in this game are horrendous. Simply and truly, a terrible walk animation for your main character and no movement options. Combat 90% of the time is just short hop sorting things. There is frequently an intense amount of waiting. The late game fights are like a totally different beast and are very interesting, but it takes a hot minute to get there. But the combat in Nine Souls is hyperactive. Parrying in Nine Souls is an 8-frame window to get a perfect parry, and all the way up to 20 frames to get an imperfect parry. And bless this man for putting in the work to figure that all out. If you do an imperfect parry, it does internal damage to you, which is recoverable damage, and will start to regain if you avoid getting hit. 20 frames is pretty generous, and frankly, a beautiful way to help you learn the timing to get your 8-frame perfect parries. The game wants you to learn, but it doesn't want to just destroy you without recourse. And that's what the extra frames to get an imperfect parry are for. Your highest damage attack is this talisman, which can be attached to an enemy if this dash animation connects. The talisman doesn't immediately detonate though. He has to charge his key into the talisman. So combat is a constant dance of movement, parrying, and finding openings to land talisman strikes. Your most powerful offense is directly connected to your ability to defend. And that is an incredible gameplay loop. And the game keeps complicating this combat dance in interesting and rewarding fashions. First with the green parry, the ability to jump parry thrust attacks, and then with the red parries, where you can charge up your key and parry even the formerly unblockable attacks. Then when you get them all in sequence, it's absolutely thrilling. Combat becomes this controlled chaos of action and reaction. But the cardinal sin that Nine Souls does is absolutely stinky animations. Some of the enemies are animated quite well, and your main character is extremely well animated. But then you run into these straight out of 2007 Flash animations. Oh my heck, it's so gross. I am going to throw up. That's one thing that Hollow Knight excelled at. The feeling of animated life from all the enemies. Part of that boils down to the fact that It was very simple designs, simple and clean lines, probably much easier to animate than something that has all these hard angles, patterns on their clothing, things like that. But because of the simple animations and style, they decided to make an absurd amount of enemies in Hollow Knight.
Oh, no, not the beast!
And the backgrounds of Hollow Knight are frequently just stunning. Everything felt hand animated. Even when they weren't hand animating, they would use clever tricks to make it feel like it. Example being these worms. Add some tasteful motion blur and time it like it's frames of animation. And even though it's the same flash animation style as shown in Nine Souls, it doesn't feel like it. This dog and this snake are terrible. And that's probably why Silksong is taking so long to come out, because Team Cherry has 3 guys, and only one of them is an animator. Ari probably just can't stop himself from hand animating an outrageous amount of enemies and characters. It's hard waiting for Silksong, especially because it looks like it mitigates all the issues I have with Hollow Knight combat. It looks fast and crazy, and your character has a run animation. It legitimately looks astounding. Like any complaints that I have about Hollow Knight, it appears that they have all been dissolved and deleted in Silksong. It looks crazy. It looks crazy. But while we're waiting, play Nine Souls. One thing that Nine Souls does masterfully that Hollow Knight doesn't even attempt is interpersonal character relationships. Your character saves this young boy, Xuan. I don't know how to pronounce that probably. In the opening hour of the game, from being turned into meat. And over the course of the game, you collect items that you can give to Xuan. He is an extremely talented child. You slowly and surely get to see Yi change. And the slow and simple moments with Xuan translate into a relationship that you care about and a story you want to see till completion. Hollow Knight basically just does the Dark Souls lore thing. Though in my opinion, it does it so much better than Dark Souls. They're not even in the same category of storytelling. But still, it's doing the Dark Souls thing. A main character that doesn't speak. And little to no character development, only lore revelations.
Don't get me wrong, a lot of these characters are fun and interesting and quirky, but the real story experience of Hollow Knight is the mystery of the kingdom and the mystery of your character, and that's really it.
But Nine Souls does what I think is the higher way to tell a story. It gives you the lore revelations, the world building, the setting, through the meaningful character interactions. There are plenty of lore drops you can read, but those are just supplement, which is what they're supposed to be. Dark Souls, you're stupid at stories, okay?
It's not possible!
Lore drops are supposed to supplement a well-crafted narrative. It's not supposed to replace it. I'm so angry at Dark Souls. Why am I so irrationally angry? I'm irrational. Interestingly enough, in Nine Souls, the character moments were what got all the animation attention. The beautiful and cinematic moments were all attached to characters. This animation is so cute and endearing. Now, can we just get a little more love for these dogs and these snake animations, please? Look at this boss. I think they just maybe ran out of time. This is such a quality mismatch, it's hard to understand. But one thing both Hollow Knight and Nine Souls do incredibly is music. Listen to the song as you desperately run to save the villagers. Then you get closer to the boss and it adds this electric guitar, chunking these power chords.
Then when you get to the boss, it adds a vocal track and one of these. Absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. So strong. Such a strong experience and moment. And now, listen to this soul-stealing cello when you play Go with Xuan Xuan. Oh, cello is simply the greatest instrument. Even the horrifying music is good. Listen to how unnerving this is. Then when you get into combat, it morphs into something else. Now listen to this. Listen to how unnerving this is.
I will scream so loud and then totally lose my marbles.
It's got the full gambit of emotional experiences expressed in these musical tracks. It does everything. Peaceful. Action. The horror. It's crazy. This is such a good soundtrack. It's absolutely bajunculous. And the pinnacle of this game, in my opinion, was the boss battle with Lady Ethereal. A bit of a spoiler warning here. Lady Ethereal is trapped in virtual space, having never-ending nightmares, unknowingly torturing herself because of guilt. You enter her virtual world intent to kill her and take her soul seal. And the battle that ensued was so fun, interesting, horrifying, and exhilarating. I loved every second of learning it. I died a bunch of times, but I was excited to get right back into learning the patterns, learning the timings. And a massive portion of why it's so incredible is because of the narrative setup. Slowly seeing her mind unravel. Seeing her pain, seeing her guilt, seeing her confusion about why she's even still alive. And then characters. That's the problem with Dark Souls. That's the problem with Hollow Knight. Well, I mean, Hornet is really fun. Hornet's a great character. Zote's pretty funny. But they're not characters that you really spend any time with. They have a few lines of dialogue every couple hours. But a boss battle with a character that you've spent the time with, where you've explored their thoughts and their emotions, is 1000% more engaging. That's why Elden Ring's final boss in particular is so discombobulated. Marika is Radagon. I don't get it. I don't understand anything about what's happening. That woman just turned into a man, and now I'm fighting them. I don't even know who this is. It's just spectacle. There is no substance. I mean, it's pretty impressive spectacle. That is a crazy looking beast. But I
don't know what it is. I didn't really know who Radagon was. I didn't really know who Baraka was either, so I don't know how to feel about them.
But this was a character I was invested in, an outcome I was interested in. Then when the music starts, it thrilled me more than any Dark Souls boss has ever even approximated. Who knows when Silksong will be released? Play 9 Souls while you wait.